Welcome, everybody, to the Indiana Basketball Show on the Grueling True Sports Network. I am your co-host for Indiana Basketball, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I would like to welcome in a Hoosier legend. At one point, it was the Indiana Hoosiers used to win national championships, and this man in 1981 combined for 26 points with Isaiah Thomas to win a national championship. Help me welcome to the show, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Doing all right, guys. Doing all well. I could be better, but I'm doing all right.
All right. So let's look at last night. Last night, for the 21st straight time, the Indiana Hoosiers got embarrassed in Wisconsin. And in his post-game radio interview with Don Fisher, another Hoosier legend, Mike Woodson said he thought Indiana came out with good intentions. Now, the reality is the Hoosiers were not prepared to play, nor did they even put up a fight in this game. Within about 4 minutes, the Hoosiers were down 19-2. Wisconsin, best three-point shooting team in the Big Ten. They looked like the best three-point shooting team in the world last night, Steve. They were 9 for 16 in the first half.
Well, I think that when you get at that level of play and you provide no perimeter defense at all, I think that you're going to get those kind of results. It's kind of like if Russia didn't fire back against Ukraine, Ukraine probably would own Russia about now.
Okay, that was the last of your thoughts. That was very, very enlightening. You sounded like Joe Biden there. All right, so my issue is this, Steve. I mean, they did look like they tried the last three games. They were just poorly coached at the end and blew the games. This game, outside of Luke Goody, who didn't even start, this team didn't look like they even wanted to be there. And once again, we get the genius Mike Woodson, who starts. And I remember I texted like three people at the start of the game. Once they showed the starting lineup, had Ballo and Renew together, I didn't think it would be 19-2 bad when he finally realized to take Renew out of the game. But we saw that he did not play them together the rest of the game, so maybe we made at least a little bit of an impression with Coach Woodson, who I almost think continued to play those guys together because he was hard-headed and didn't want to look like he was letting other people coach the team. But there was definitely a difference when those two worked together on the field.
Yeah, and I don't understand that because they're both very talented basketball players. They should be able to work together. I guess my question for you, Mike, is that what, and we keep harping on Coach Woodson, and I do think that he's definitely not living up to the expectations we might have had of him. At what point do we put some onus on the players for just lack of execution? I mean, at some point, you get back to that level of play and that tenure of play. When do these guys realize, if I don't get out front and guard these guys on the perimeter, they're shooting lights out on us? And from what I saw, they just continued to play soft on the perimeter defense. I mean, I was watching, and I was almost called you halfway through the first half and said, you guys look at that. They're playing a total outside the three-point line offense. They had basically maybe one player roving across the baseline or across the post areas. They had four guys that were just living outside the perimeter and just passing the ball around and around and around until they felt they had as wide open a shot as they were going to get, which was pretty wide open. And I've got to start putting at least half of this onus on the players. Just piss poor execution in the game. Now, I guess you want to take it back to, is that Mike's fault for not getting them ready to play?
Yes. Yes. Wait, Steve, I will explain it to you this way. All right. When you play Renew, Ballo, and M'Baku together, you do not have the speed to guard the wings. You don't have the speed to get out to guard the three-point shot. And my concern with this is you can blame the players because the players are lazy, some bitches. I mean, you watch the game. I mean, Luke Goody is the only guy that gives a crap. Maybe Trey Galloway does. Anthony Leal probably gives a crap, but let's face it. We made the comment to each other about a week ago that it looks like he only plays because he's the dude that showed up with the ball to the playground. So they let him play because you can't play unless he does. This is a 6'5" guard that caught the ball underneath the basket, Steve, and instead of jumping up and dunking it, tried to lay it in and missed. It was absolutely pathetic. So I will say this: if you're playing Wisconsin and you know that they can shoot to three, why in the hell do you put three guys who are, let's face it, not the greatest defenders in the world, especially Renew and Mbako? How can you put them out there and then blame them because they can't do something that you know they can't do because they've proven it for 22 or 23 games this year?
Yeah, I just look at their lineup and they got what, a 6'11" and a 7-foot guy playing in their post, right?
Yeah, but those guys all can move.
They move. That's what I was getting to. I don't want to sound anything other than what I am, and they were two big, slow white guys too. Or should have been two big, slow white guys.
Yeah, but they aren't. They were athletic white guys.
They were very athletic, and they ran, and they played the perimeter, and they shot well from the outside. And it was in the end, it turned out to be an ill-conceived lineup. And our execution at critical points in the game, though, on the court, I think we started off the second half, second 5 minutes of the game with 5 turnovers, didn't we? I think I saw that stat.
Yeah.
That we had 5 turnovers within the first 5 minutes. And Coach Knight, and I don't want to harp back on those days because we've had that story now, but you've heard it from a lot of great coaches. The first 5 minutes of the second half were the most critical point in the game. Indiana had gotten it down to, I think, single digits at some point, didn't they?
I think the closest it got was 12. No, the closest it got was 12. But
okay, I thought
they got it to 12 and had a couple possessions where they could have got it to single digits, but they didn't.
Yeah, but then they just fell right back into letting them shoot from the three-point line. I mean, you called it in the pregame for this game in the sense that this is the best three-point shooting team in the Big Ten, bar none.
And we still defended them like we were playing in the Big Ten.
And we defended them like we were the best shooting three-point team in the Big Ten, and that we did not have to guard them on the perimeter. It's not much more complicated than that, people. I'm telling you right now, it's execution, it's game prep in terms of getting lineup into the game, and now our backs to the wall where we have to win 6 of 8 games to get to 20 wins. I think 20 wins, if you're not a conference champion in an automatic bid, is pretty much a benchmark you've got to get to now in the tournament.
We did last year, and it doesn't matter because this team gets to 20 wins because they played cupcakes early.
It's a benchmark you've got to be at to get a chance in. We were first 4 out last year, weren't we?
Yeah, but no, I don't think we were first 4 out last year. I think at one point towards the end we were, and then we puked on ourselves because the coach is a dumbass. So when you look at Omar Ballo, he's been Indiana's most consistent player all season. He was held in check last night. And I think the Badgers emphasized keeping the ball out of Ballo's hands and also keeping him off the offensive glass. And the one thing I noticed that they did with Ballo is the guy that Ballo was guarding a lot of times would be all the way at the top of the key behind the three-point line just to drag his ass out there. And Ballo, for the game offensively, took 3 shots, scored 4 points. And I just wonder if this has got something to do with him and Miles Rice at the end of the Purdue game where Rice forced a shot and Ballo was in tears because, the whole country's soft. How can we expect the Indiana basketball team not to be soft anymore? But I just wonder if Omar Ballo's checked out and is ready to get the hell out of here, because I would not blame him right now, by the way, but that was kind of sad.
Well, you almost get the impression that the whole team's checked out now.
Well, yeah, I've had that impression all year, except for Luke Goody, but we don't let Luke Goody start. We wouldn't want the guy that gives a crap to get to play. Yeah, Robert Stewart just agrees. Our bigs can't play perimeter defense, and offensively, they can't drag the other team's bigs out to the three-point line. Yeah, because if Umar Ballo goes out to the three-point line, ain't nobody following him.
No.
There's no reason to. He can't shoot the ball.
No, I mean, we're definitely an inside play team. We're not a good three-point shooting. Good he is, but, if you only got one guy on your team that can shoot threes, he becomes pretty easy to guard.
They have guys that can shoot them. They're just streaky. And let's face it, Steve, you can't have a really good three-point shooting team if you don't have proper spacing on offense and you do not pass the ball. You don't move the ball. I mean, this ball basically goes to a post. Everybody stands and watches the post guy. The post guy either turns, makes a move, and shoots, or he'll kick it back out, and then they repeat the process because the offense is absolute ass. Now, Mackenzie Mbako, I thought played well again last night, 15 points, but he was only 1 for 7 from three-point range. That's your best three-point shooter. Three-point shooting overall, 7 for 27. That's not going to win you a lot of games, especially against a team that shoots it the way they do. And Miles Rice, to me, is a complete waste of time on a basketball court.
Yeah, I don't understand why he keeps going back to those guards either, because they're not very productive. What did they combine for last night?
The starting guards?
Yeah.
Starting guards had 10 points because Anthony Leal was held scoreless.
Yeah.
I mean, why does Anthony Leal start over Luke Goody?
Yeah.
And my other thing is this. Yeah. I thought Bryson Tucker, our one freshman, or Bryson Tucker, I think that he showed last night that if you gave him playing time, he can contribute. He hit 2 out of 3 from three-point range. He scored 9 points in the game, but he got to play 24 minutes. Most of the time this season, if he plays at all, it's 2 or 3 minutes and they jerk his ass out. And I don't know why you wouldn't want to develop the one true freshman you have instead of possibly pissing him off so he leaves.
Yeah, well, the only thing I can say to that is I think Mike's trying to win right now and not develop players right now.
Mike has never tried to win a fucking thing. Mike tries to get guys to the NBA and then sit there like a fucking idiot. I mean, I'm tired of this shit. I'm sitting there watching this last night. We're 3 minutes in and you called me. You might as well go to bed. And it was true. This shit is pathetic. I mean, I don't know how anybody can sit here and defend the shit we're seeing right now, Steve. It's absolutely stupid.
Did you
sit there and if you blame the players, who went and got the damn players?
I'm not just blaming the players, and I'm blaming everybody right now. This is just a fallen basketball team that for the umpteenth time in a row now we have underachieved. We have tarnished our reputation to the point to where we are where Northwestern was when I was playing.
We're a laughing stock right now.
We're getting close to being a laughing stock. We have flashes of brilliance where we can look like a team that can play and contend for tournament bids and Sweet 16 appearances, but we're not there consistent. We haven't been there consistent since Tom Crean in the later days before we fired him. We've gone through a slew of coaches that I don't know who's making the damn decision on the coaching situation. I've caught in crap on feedback about being Woody's friend and about defending Woodson. I always think firing is the last resort, not a solution to a problem. And I hope that we didn't get to the last resort, but
we've been at the last resort for 4 years. I told y'all this when they hired.
I would suggest forcing Woodson's hand and making him change his assistant coaching staff and bringing assistant coaches who have coached in college basketball that can lead it and lead and help out in coaching a team. I don't see any help from the assistants. I don't know what goes on. I don't go to practice. I'm not there. I have not talked to Mike in a couple of years, one-on-one directly, and so
he won't talk to you.
I'm
Steve,
just to the
you're
point.
Friends with me, admit it.
I'm at a point now where it is time for a change. We now have what? 8 games left, I think. We have to win 6 of them. We've got to now play a pissed off UCLA or Michigan State team. We've got to play a hotter than hell UCLA team. We've got to play a tough Michigan team. We got to play Purdue again, who's now leading the Big Ten. I mean, our chances of winning half the games we have left are slim and none. If we continue to play like we played last night, the 2 blowouts, and there's no indication things are going to get better. We're not improving. Generally, historically, you've seen IU teams we made a 10-0 run my championship year. We won our last 10 games.
Y'all gave a shit, though, Steve.
We had a common goal. And we care, and we care, but there was no nil money and no portals to go jump into if we didn't like what was going on to us. We sucked it up, pulled our bootstraps up, hiked up our socks, dribbles, short, swish, whatever the hell Alford did. And we played ball and we went out and kicked the crap out of people. This team does not have a killer instinct. It does not have the desire to win. I think they just want to get the season over with because they got their money for the year, whether they played 8 more games or play 12 more games or 13, 14 more games, however many it takes to win the championship. I don't think they care. I think at this point everybody's just
and that's why you can't keep Mike Woodson here. He needs to be gone now.
I can't defend him anymore.
Hey,
I cannot defend the product that's being put on the floor night after night after night this late into a season. If you're playing this kind of crap ass basketball this late into the season, then and this is the 4th year, and you only make the dance 2 of the 4 years. And your IU's favorite son, Mike, I love you to death. A great teammate, great played against you in high school. Went to grade school with Mike, but it's time for a change. We let Dusty May go. That was a mistake.
Yeah, we need to get him back. Or
he's not going to leave Michigan.
Hey, this is the thing.
Have you seen Michigan's facilities and what money they've got up there? We're not going to get Dusty May out of Michigan.
I know, but everybody should cheer for him very loudly on Saturday to try to talk him into
No, they should not cheer for him. They should cheer for IU.
No, they shouldn't. Why would you cheer for this? They shouldn't even be at the game. I mean, and this is the thing. You can rip that. But the Louisville Cardinals finally did something. They went out and they got a legit coach when people stopped showing up. Last year, there was Louisville games with 2,000 people in the KFC Yum Center, which seats 24,000. They forced the hand of administration.
And Pitino went from 17-15 his first year to 27-5 this year.
Who's Pitino got to do that?
He used to coach at Louisville.
Well, that has nothing to do with this. He coached at Louisville like 10 years ago. But
they
had Chris Mack in the meantime. And I mean, they had to kind of fire him. That wasn't just about basketball.
I'm aware of that.
Remember, Rick Pitino
being
scumbag, but
hard-headed.
Yeah, and Brian Wetter says anytime you fall behind 24-4, it's impossible to catch up. Well, Brian, I've seen teams do it, but usually when you do it with a team of guys that give everything they have all the time, who just maybe got a little lax at the start of the game. That's not what this is. And defensively, this is my biggest issue because everybody, like that little midget down in Florida, he thought that Woody, remember what he told us, that Woody revolutionized NBA defense with the Detroit Pistons in the early 2000s. The problem is this great genius coach's defense has regressed each season in Big Ten games. Now, conference opponents scored just right around 1.008 points per possession in his first season. Year 2, 1.04. Year 3, last season, 1.079. This season, 1.118. So when you look at this, their defense now is went from his first year ranking like 8th. It's continuously dropped like 2 spots each year. And now they rank 14 out of 18 teams. And at this point, I mean, when you look at these players, the only person really that I'm good with playing is Luke Goody and Bryson Tucker.
Yeah, I don't have much of a defense left. I'm tired of getting hate mail from people listening to us.
You didn't get hate mail.
I got hate mail. I got to have a personal email account that I get hate mail from.
You don't have an email account. You don't even know what that is yet. You still send me letters.
They're handwritten, and I can write cursive.
I know, and
I write in cursive.
I remember I didn't know we were doing this show till today because you'd mailed out Friday a message that said, "Are we doing a show Wednesday at 1?" And I just got it today, and I had to throw it up real quick to get it up.
Yeah, we just got internet.
Well, LA, I don't think has internet.
No, they don't. No.
All right. I don't know what else to say here. I mean, this.
I really don't know. I mean, we're seeing the same thing everybody else is, and we don't have a magic bullet. I'm out of superlatives to say if Mike did this or the players did this. I think there's accountability on the entire programs, including Scott Dawson. I think it's sad when you have one of the most coveted basketball programs.
I don't know that I blame Dolson. I think this was forced on him by Quinn Buckner.
Yeah,
It was.
I don't know. I can't validate that. It sure seems that way. And you would have to, if you're a betting man and you're betting the odds, that would be your odds on favorite bet. But I don't know that. I was gung-ho about Mike coming when he came. I thought it was a good thing, but then I was still in the market of we can replicate night and bring back the night days. Brian, what would Bob Knight think if he was alive? I really don't think he'd make a public comment on it because it's Mike Woodson. I think he'd stay out of it and let it go. But I think I would hope that Mike would be smart enough to talk to Coach, and Coach would give Mike some ideas of what to do. I don't know, because I'm not sure Mike ever had the pleasure of talking to Coach when Coach had all of his faculties with him. So yeah. I can only speculate on that.
I think the only reason Knight showed back up there is because he didn't have all his faculties.
Yeah, I think that's probably.
If he would have never came back.
Yeah, because when he seemed to have all his faculties, he had no desire or interest to ever go back to IU ever again.
No.
But anyway, this is not a breakdown of Bob Knight. Bob Knight is not back and is not coaching Mike on how to coach. I know we wouldn't be in this boat if Coach Knight was in the game.
Well, I don't know. This is kind of the boat Coach Knight had from 95 through 2002, too.
He checked out then. He had checked out then, too.
Well, he checked out probably after, about 93?
Yeah, after they made their last 90s run.
In 93, you had the Elite Eight team without the injury to Alan Henderson. Might have been a national championship team. But they ended up getting beat by Kansas.
Yeah.
Next up.
The 2001 team, effectively, even though Mike Davis was the coach, was Bob Knight's team.
Yeah.
That was Coach Knight's last great team.
Yep. And next up, we've got Dusty May and the Michigan Wolverines.
You got a hot Michigan team coming.
They're not hot. They have not played well as of late, but a lot of that was because Vladislav Golden.
They play hard.
Their big man Golden was sick, and without him, they're not the same. But fortunately for the Indiana Hoosiers, I think he will be 100% when we played him, because he looked much better in Saturday's game and their win over Rutgers. Tonight, the Michigan Wolverines will face the Oregon Ducks in a game where I think Michigan will tell us whether they're back in the saddle again or not, because I think they should beat Oregon. They're favored by 7.5 points. I think they should beat Oregon by double digits. Oregon has struggled over the last 3-4 weeks. They don't look like near the team that they were. And the only thing I could say is Michigan only having one less day to prepare, and they got to play us at Indiana. But overall, if you look at this team, especially their guys up front, they're good. I mean, you got Daniel Wolf, Vladislav Golden, and then you've got 3 really good guards in Trey Donaldson. You've got Burnett Kid. You've got Roddy Gale Jr. It's a complete basketball team, but they have not played well as of late. So you do have that, because if you look at their last few games, they beat Rutgers 66-63. They only beat Penn State 76-72 at home. They got bludgeoned by Purdue 91-64.
What's their record, Mike?
I think they're like 16 or 17-5. They've only lost 2 Big Ten games. They lost at Minnesota recently. They only beat Northwestern by 4. So really, they've struggled to beat the bottom tier teams in the Big Ten as of late. They got bludgeoned by Purdue, but I think Purdue's the best team in the Big Ten. So I don't know. I mean, I think if you watch the game tonight and they destroy Oregon and Golden and Wolf have big games, that means Golden's healthy again, and this team's probably going to be a handful. If they struggle to win tonight and they only win a close game, you've got a shot if you're Indiana, if you're going to show up and play. And the thing we've seen about Woody's teams is they'll look like absolute horse crap for 3 or 4 games. They'll play one game where they win and give you hope, and then it goes right back to the same crap again.
Yeah, that's the point I was getting ready to make. They may show up and play a great game against Michigan. The game's at home. we have historically have not done well on the road this year. And they may show up and play well against Michigan. And all of a sudden now we're back to, hey, we can make the dance. And then here comes,
we'll go to Michigan State.
Then we go to East Lansing, who just, did a West Coast road trip, lost to USC, lost to UCLA. Now they were in first place in the Big Ten, and I don't believe they are anymore, are they?
Purdue is now, I believe.
Yeah, so they're out of first place. Izzo is a coach who takes it personally when his teams don't play well this time of year, and he's going to see Indiana is a floundering ship, ready just to be used as target practice and get his team jettisoned and fired back up.
That's how everybody else uses us.
Yeah. Dusty May is a coach who's been there, done that recently with his teams. I would guess that while Michigan's probably in the dance right now.
Michigan's a top 4 seed probably right now.
Yeah, but they don't want to drop that top 4 seed. They want to retain that, so they have all the reasons in the world to play well and win this game in Bloomington.
I have good news, though, Steve.
I just don't see a game maybe other than Penn State and Washington where I'm confident Indiana can win the game. I'm saying they can win any of them. They can win any of them, but I'm not confident that they can win. Other than they should be able to handle Penn State at home and Washington at Washington. But that's their first West Coast road trip. And trust me, that 3-hour time difference change playing is just your eating system is messed up. Your bowel movement system is messed up. You're just off. And it's their first time going out there. It's back to the beginning. Instead of playing Marion and crap like that at home and Indiana Central or whoever, damn, get on the road and play some tough games early in the season and get your guys understanding what that feels like. And we're not there. And now our backs are way against the wall with only one path forward, and I don't think we can navigate it.
No, we can't navigate it because there's no captain on this ship. So
there is no leadership on this team on the floor
or on the sideline.
I guess it's tough for Goody or Callaway to lead when they don't start. And yet you look at the playing time, I think both Goody and Galloway played over 30 minutes each in the game.
Yeah, but the point is this, and Robert asked a question.
And they combined for 20 points versus 10 points from our starting guards, which has been fairly consistent.
Robert Stewart asked, will Goody start over Malik? I think he almost has to, because Woody is going to look like a complete imbecile if he starts the same starting 5 again. And now maybe Woodson is good with that, or maybe Woody is a complete imbecile. So we will find out on Saturday against Michigan.
Yeah, that's the good thing about that is NASCAR qualifying's on that day.
Yeah, that's outstanding. All you rednecks drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon beer and smoking your Marlboro Lights.
Well, I was going to drink Coors or Corona Light until Trump put the tariffs on.
There's
Mexico.
no tariffs.
According to Senator Schumer, we're not going to be able to get avocados, limes, and Corona beer. Does he realize that Corona beer is only drank by yuppies?
Well,
real Mexicans drink Modelo.
Actually, I think that beer that we're talking about, Corona, I think that it sponsors most of the LGBTQI plus.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah. And the other thing Chuck Schumer didn't know that is like 20 minutes after he made that statement, Mexico decided to not have tariffs and send 10,000 troops to help us protect their border.
As soon as the cartels come with their bazookas, those guys are going to drop arms and run like hell. They got families in Mexico that those cartels don't. Anyway, this is not a political show. What's more likely, Woodson resignation or Scott Dawson firing Mike Woodson? Well, I think the only thing I can say to that is I think if Mike gets fired, he takes a buyout. If he resigns, I don't know if he negotiates a buyout or not, but I think if they fire him, he's just re-signed another long-term contract, got a pay raise, is making a significant amount of money, I think, and this is just what I'm reading in the papers. So I would guess they're going to be in a situation where they're going to gracefully fire him and give him his buyout and send him on his way. IU's not lacking in money.
They need to fire his ass now. It's the only thing you can.
They're not going to do it before the end of the year.
I know. Why not just waste this entire season? You can still say,
Mike, it's already wasted.
No,
you can't.
This is the thing. What's wasted is this.
Now we switched roles. You can't
4 years
save
are
this
wasted.
season.
You're
telling me that we can win 6 of the next 8 games.
This is what I would do. Hear me out. I would fire Woodson and all of the coaches.
And who do you get to replace him?
And see, you interrupt me. This is obvious if you like watching movies. All right. I say what we do is like Varsity Blues. We turn it over to the team. Luke Goody can coach them, and they can go to a couple strip clubs, get their confidence back, and win the games. I mean, it's not unsavable.
I don't know. I left Indiana in 1981, and there were no resemblance of any strip club that any.
Oh no, we'll have them go to Cancun.
You would think Indiana, with all the co-eds, would have good strip clubs. They do not.
Well, they shouldn't, because you shouldn't be at strip clubs. I guarantee you this. The reason they don't have strip clubs is Omar Ballo would be living inside
what we've degraded down to talking about.
Games. Because there's nothing else. But you know what? The numbers went up when I used my Varsity Blues analysis. And you just say, hey, Luke Goody, Umar Ballo, Miles Rice, you guys just go ahead and coach the team. Or how about this? Since Anthony Leal is not a Division I college basketball player, maybe he's smart enough to be a coach. We'll let Anthony Leal coach the team.
All right, we've degraded down to science.
We have not degraded anything, but I will guarantee you this: if you told the team there's no coaches tonight, you guys go out and play, I bet they would play their asses off, get along.
If I wanted to employ any of your theory, I'd at least turn the team over to Tim Garl.
Is he still there?
Yeah, Tim's still there. I think
he's older than you, isn't he?
No, he wasn't my trainer. I wasn't our trainer when we played.
Oh, okay.
We had Bob Young.
All right. I bet he's dead, because that was a long time ago.
No, Mike, he did pass away a long time
ago. I know,
ago.
because he's older than you.
Yeah.
The only people I know older than you are dead, Steve.
No, Ken Benson's still alive.
Well, that's just because, he's trying to outlive Kareem, so there's one thing he could beat Kareem.
Okay. All right, come on. Is there any real pathway to salvation for this basketball team? Short of hiring Woodson, which is not going to happen right now.
It should happen. I believe this.
I give Calbert Chaney interim chair.
I agree, but I don't think Calbert Chaney would take it as interim coach.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, let's say Calbert Chaney's sitting right there just to the left of Mike, or to the right of Mike if he's sitting down. Why has Chaney not been a greater influence on him?
Because Mike Woodson has no assistants. Mike Woodson does what Mike Woodson wants.
Right, but isn't Chaney director of basketball operations? Wouldn't that be above the coach?
Not to coach the team, I wouldn't think. Plus, it doesn't matter because Quinn Buckner's running this shit. It's the only reason Woody got the job. I mean, you can sit there, you can read thousands of articles, see millions of interviews from former players that say Quinn Buckner wanted this because they hired Mike Woodson. He was not qualified. Put it like this. Answer me this, Steve. With Mike Woodson's resume of being a below 500 coach, is there any other Division I elite program that would have even considered interviewing Mike Woodson for the head coach?
I think Purdue did, or Michigan did that with Juwan Howard. Wasn't that it?
At least with Juwan Howard, it was a younger dude that hadn't completely failed in the NBA. And yes, they did, and they screwed up bad. And I
think North Carolina did that with Matt Doherty.
I'm saying, would anybody do that with Mike Woodson? See, this is the thing. You're missing the point here. The point is,
I get your point.
The only place that will do that is the school they're from. It has not been done, Steve.
He came into
this has been done. Nobody else would hire him, just like nobody else would hire him.
Mike, I got a phone call from Dawson, and I gave Mike my seal of approval. And a lot of players did. I said, I think it's a good call
from Scott Dolson.
I did get a call.
No, you didn't, because Quinn Buckner just said, this is your coach. Dolson never had a question.
Called many players.
Yeah. Well, so this is your fucking fault then, is what you're telling me. And after I explained to you, NBA coaches going to college never works.
No, I buy that 110%. And I should have thought about that. He has no college coaching experience. None whatsoever.
If he would have won like some NBA world championships or something, then we could talk about it. But he didn't. He was a failure in the NBA. He was below 500. I think his winning percentage was like 46%. He made it to the second round of the playoffs once or twice in a decade. He did turn around the New York Knicks, but at the same time he turned them around, he killed them because he let Carmelo Anthony and every other player on that team that was a stud run the team. The same way this team is run by the players.
This team is run by the players?
No doubt.
Well, then I go back to my onus, the players' execution and leadership amongst themselves.
You cannot let players.
Anybody.
No, if you don't give players leadership, they're not going to be leaders on their own.
Do I need to tell my story again about the big knockdown, drag-out battle that happened between Isaiah Thomas and Bob Knight in the locker room?
Yeah, and Knight let him
after we got our asses handed to us in Iowa.
No, you're telling me
25 points.
You're telling me that Isaiah Thomas did the game prep and set up the offense and defense the way he wanted against him? No. Isaiah Thomas ran the team on the floor.
The game prep basically went to watching films and knowing what their offenses were and what their player personnel was. And then he pretty much, when the ball rolled onto the court, it was Isaiah's game. And Knight was smart enough to know that, and he knew we were in better hands at that point in time on the court than with him. And I'll tell you what, everybody attentively sat there. In the last 5 minutes of the game, Knight took that game over, and we were never feared losing a game from that point on.
Steve, all I can tell you is this. Anybody with Isaiah Thomas and half a brain would do that. Mike Woodson's doing it with Anthony Leal and Miles Rice.
I agree. Yeah.
And Brian Winters says, Steve, enjoy Luka and the Lakers.
How about that trade?
You know why it was made. I can tell you exactly why this trade was made. This trade was made because they wanted an NBA team in Vegas. By sending Luka to LA, you strengthen the LA market. The TV ratings suck. Maybe you can get them a deep run in the playoffs. But you destroy the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks are owned by a family that is one of the largest casino operators in the world. All right? So this team will suck now with Luka gone. They will then take the Mavericks and move them to Las Vegas. You watch. This is done because without Luka, this team is nothing. Anthony Davis is over a decade in the NBA. The whole thing is a setup to help LeBron and the Lakers, and in the end, to move the Mavericks to Vegas.
Mike, let me tell you. One, the only people I'd feel bad for are the people of Dallas, who are good. It's a good basketball city. Cuban, as much as
he doesn't own the team, Steve, so don't do it.
I know, but when he owned the team did well. He was behind that team. He sat down there, and I went to college with Mark.
Yeah, he's a scumbag. But all right.
Okay, but I would hate it for Dallas if they lost the team. But right now, Vegas is the hottest sports property in professional sports. Hell, I'm trying to get my wife to move across the border and go to live outside Vegas. The housing's about a third of the cost over there. The taxes, no state income taxes. The cost of living is better. And I'm saying, Tia, let's just jump across into Nevada and live somewhere outside of Vegas. It's a new city, and she's like, oh, but I can't get too far away from my son,
Well, and the other thing is this. I believe Mark Cuban will once again own the Mavericks when this is all said and done.
Do you think so?
I think the only reason that the family is the Anderson family.
Because they're tied to Vegas.
Now, this is the thing, though. If you get casinos allowed in Dallas, they can partner with a casino developer to build a new arena. If that doesn't happen, they move to Vegas and get a new arena. Yeah. And once that is done, they will sell the team back at a small loss probably to Mark Cuban so Cuban can run the team because Mark Cuban's a scumbag too. I mean, he's a flaming liberal retard. I mean, we've seen it many times with him.
Well, he's pretty close to the guy that runs the Lakers. Mark, what's his name?
I don't know who owns the Lakers. I don't watch the NBA anymore.
No, the NFL, not the Lakers. The
NBA is like Indiana.
I'm sorry, the Raiders. The Raiders. Mark Davis.
Oh, yeah, Davis. Well, I can tell you this. You know what the NBA is to me? It would be if the Indiana Hoosiers starters played their backups in a game. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody's playing defense. We're just going to have a little bit of fun.
All right. Do we have anything? Do we have any words of wisdom that IU needs to do? Let's get these people that are listening to us. Let's stay close to IU basketball.
Okay? I have given words of wisdom for 42 minutes, Steve, and now you want more?
let's end on a positive note, if that's possible.
All right. We're all still alive.
We got to want people to come back and listen. They're
Hey.
just going to hang up going, I don't need to listen to those two clowns anymore, because they're right. There's no hope for the future.
Kurt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosier football team is only, 7 months away from practicing.
Have we gone to that with our basketball
How about this?
program?
Why don't we just let Kurt Cignetti finish out the season as the basketball coach?
That might be the best idea you come up with all day.
I like it. I think it would work out fine.
I think the team would go out and play hard.
That's all you need, because, right now, I don't know that Mike Woodson knows more about coaching basketball than Kurt Cignetti does. The key to being a coach is getting guys that will bust their ass for you. And we do not have that right now with the Indiana Hoosiers.
We have guys, and I think it's just what's happened with Nil and Portals is we have guys
that shit.
Bust their ass, get to the negotiating table and then to the bank.
Hey, Steve,
and
all I know
that's
is
what they play for.
Other programs like Duke and them find guys that show up for the nil money and then play their asses off.
Yeah, but a lot of the guys Purdue have are pretty much players that wouldn't be.
Duke. I said Duke.
Oh, Duke. Well,
we're talking Cooper Flagg and Con Canople. Flagg will actually make people interested in the NBA again next year. He's the best player in the country. There you go.
Those are players that have learned that they can get more rewards financially and nil-wise by being on a great basketball team than by trying to be an individual.
I don't think so,
player.
Steve. I think those
I've always said, Mike, I've always said, I will take a great team and beat a team of great players 9 out of 10 times I play them. I will take a great team and beat a team of great players in college ball 9 out of 10 times. In the NBA, different.
Steve, name me a great team that didn't have great players.
Our team in 81 had one great player.
You had, at worst, the third best point guard in the history of basketball.
No, I said we had one great player. Other than that, we had a bunch of really good players.
The third best basketball player, at worst, in his position.
Who was the shortest guy on our team?
And he is probably the greatest player.
It was not a three. We did not have the 3-point line. Okay.
It's Isaiah
We were a great team.
Okay. How about this? You were a good team. You take Isaiah.
76 was a great team.
Take Isaiah Thomas off that team, and you don't make it to the final.
No, we don't make it to the championship game.
So exactly. You didn't have a great. You had a great
76
player.
team. The 76 team did not have a great player. They had Scott May, who was a stalwart college basketball player.
Him and Kent Benson were both great college basketball players.
Right, and I don't think either one of them ever averaged 20 points a game.
Buckner was a great college basketball player.
He was a good leader and point guard.
A great college basketball. So you had three great, really four. Bobby Wilkerson was a great college basketball player.
All right, okay, all right. You win.
Okay, so now we can wrap the show up since you have.
No. Hang on. We got Brian's sending us good questions. The only positive way is if they beat Michigan. Okay, let's say we beat Michigan. Is there hope again, Mike?
No, because then Michigan State will rack our ass on Tuesday.
Okay, Brian. So check that one. What are the chances of Steve Alford surviving Nevada? Is he in trouble this year? Is he having a bad year?
Steve Alford, he's always in trouble because he's not a very good coach either. But he is better than Mike Woodson.
But he may be the next IU coach.
Oh, God, I hope not. It looks like we would learn our lesson. Everybody was running around. We need a former night guy.
Well, we thought we'd learn our lesson with Davis. We thought we'd learn our lesson with Calvin Sampson, who turned out to be a pretty damn good basketball.
Davis took us to the championship game. Say what you want.
Knight took us to the championship game. Davis rode along. For the championship game.
Dude,
I will fight your ass on that one.
2 years after.
No, it wasn't. It was the next season after.
You're full of shit. Know what you're talking about if you're going to talk to me, son. I just want to say that for fun. Knight's last season was 2000, Steve.
And they went 2001 championship. That was next.
They did not. They went to the 2002 championship game. In 2001, they got upset, I think, by Pittsburgh in the first or second.
99, okay, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody says that was still Knight's team. There was remnants.
Everybody could say that, Steve, but he wasn't the one coaching them.
All right,
and when he did coach them, they didn't go to the
See, but this is degrading, too. We're getting on each other's asses now, and this is not the way it should be.
No, I'm just having fun.
Okay,
Steve.
Give the job to Michael Lewis. I'm going to tell you what right now, Brian.
He sucks.
I want to get rid of any IU ties, any former player, anybody.
Basketball coach.
Get a basketball coach. All right, get a proven Indiana has the facilities, the fan base, the money to deserve a top-level basketball coach. It's got to be a young
right
coach
now,
like a Dusty May.
Let me explain this to people real quick. Right now, Steve Alford is 13-10. Michael Lewis coaches at Ball State, correct?
Yeah.
He is 10-12. So we want to take
everybody
bitched because we took everybody bitched because we took a mid-major Archie Miller, but at least Archie Miller was successful there. And I hate to tell you this, right now, Archie Miller is a much better coach than anybody we've had here for a while. Because
Archie played hard.
Hey, Archie Miller at Rhode Island, I think last time I checked, they were like 16-5 and would probably beat the brakes off of Ball State and Nevada.
Yeah, no.
And he took a Rhode Island program that was the worst team in the country. So
I want to break ties. I want the team to break ties with the Knight era. You know what? Give us tickets to the game. Set it down behind the bench.
Right now, Rhode Island.
Introduce us in during the game and say, "Hey, former players are here. These guys, wave, get a little round of applause, and then go back home." I've been to an IU game in 10 to 12 years.
How about this, Steve? I will make this claim. There is a better chance Archie Miller makes the tournament with Rhode Island this year than Indiana.
Better than yes, yeah.
Archie
we're like
16
we're what 5-7 in the Big Ten now.
Yeah, it's hard to believe they're that good at it. It's a good thing they don't have to replay those teams because a couple of those teams have gotten better and we've gotten worse. But I don't know. You want to talk about anything else? The numbers keep going up. I ain't really got nothing else to say. How about you? What time is the Indiana-Michigan game on Saturday, Steve?
I don't think it's been. It's 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock your time or my time?
I think it's 1 o'clock East Coast time. 10 o'clock my time. I got to get up early again.
All right. So if you want, we could probably do a show right after the game if it starts at 1.
Saturday?
Yeah.
In the middle of Daytona qualifying? Seriously? Actually, they will have already qualified by then.
Yeah. Plus, we're all men here. Men don't watch that stuff. Except for you and Robert. And Joe and that Ryan dude.
Maybe I tell you what, you want to really get into trouble, get UCLA's coach in here. That guy, I live in Los Angeles. That guy is people don't care about UCLA basketball here anymore, and they don't like that guy.
Before he got there, and I'll hate to tell you this, but Mick Cronin's a better coach than anybody we've had since 19.
No, I get it, but he's not the answer to restoring IU to greatness. He can't restore UCLA to greatness. UCLA is a bigger program than Indiana.
He took UCLA to the Final Four, Steve.
Did he win anything?
He went to the Final Four.
Did he win anything?
Steve, we haven't got out of the second round in a freaking decade. You got to start somewhere.
Okay.
And no, I don't like him either, but I could also tell you this. Oh, Robert Stewart says he likes bologna.
Blaney.
What's a Blaney? Is that an Irishman?
No, it's Ryan Blaney. Won a championship 2 years ago. I think
like an Irish bar. Let's go to Blaney's.
I'm sorry, Stuart. I'm a 9-car fan. We just won the crap in Bowman Gray, and team looked very strong. I think you're going to see a lot out of the 9-car this year.
All right.
Can we do a NASCAR show after this?
If you guys want to,
so I can bully you.
Stuff, you can't bully me with NASCAR stuff.
Yeah, I know. I can.
No, you can't. You're not smart enough to bully me, Steve. It's been proven for like a decade now.
Okay.
Me and Tim Johnson are your kryptonite.
Oh, yeah. Tim Johnson.
1977, when Aurora, a town of 6, beat Lawrence Central with the 6'8" gargantuan center, Steve Risley. I believe Aurora's smallest guy was, I think his name was Billy Barty. He was 3'2", and he dominated Risley. He ran up your back and dunked, if I remember.
Billy Barty was a midget actor.
I know. He also played center for the Aurora High School team in 1977 when he looked.
No, a guy named Kraft played center for him or something like that.
Kraft?
Wasn't it Kraft or Kraft Sisson or no? That was Steve Kraft Sisson from Iowa. Castle or Castile or something like that.
Oh, Les Castletine.
Les Castletine, whatever. I scored plenty on him, but, unfortunately, Tim scored more than I did. So, yeah. Thank God they didn't have 3-point shots back then. Holy cow.
He lost by 30 then.
I know we would have. Yes, we would have that night.
Well, yeah. All right, guys. We will be back. Do you want to go live after the game then, Steve?
Sure, why not? Sure, I'll take more abuse from you.
So we'll be live 15 minutes, approximately 15.
I'm going to go on a limb, Mike, and say IU wins Saturday.
I'm going to go on a limb and say it won't matter because we'll just lose the next game if we do. I will say this:
Hey, one game at a time, Mike. You were a college. You were an arena football coach. You know it's one game at a time. Or is it one paycheck at a time?
An arena football, dude, is one paycheck at a time.
That's what I thought.
But, hey, the paycheck wasn't bad. So.
No, it wasn't. No, I know what you made.
It was on TV, so I got more rings than you.
Did you have hair back then?
No, I haven't had hair since I was born bald, and I've stayed bald. I had hair that tried to grow in, but I used to just kind of pluck it out because I didn't want to have to brush it. It's a pain in the ass. And see, the bad thing is now I got my granddaughters living with me, and they got this long hair, and they're like 3 and 5. If I walk towards them with a brush, they scatter.
You know, I watched this movie.
I ain't very good at the brushing thing.
I watched this movie last weekend. It's one of the Oscar-nominated movies, The Apprentice. Story about Donald Trump's coming of age. And
I don't watch that because I figured it's some left-wing liberal BS.
It really wasn't. It actually was a pretty good movie. But the son of a bitch is bald.
That's because you're from California.
What?
You live in California, so you're a liberal. You don't realize.
I'm not a liberal. I'm a conservative Hoosier.
Sure you are, Steve. A conservative Hoosier would not move to L.A.
It wasn't my call.
A conservative Hoosier would stand up to his wife and say, "Hey, listen, Tia."
No, not when you've been married 40 years. You don't stand up to your wife.
I've been married 30 years, and my wife's not going to tell me.
Yeah, well, that last 10's a bitch.
But of course, my wife is not a liberal.
We're about 30 years out from night being gone, too, and look what's happened. Things are starting to go to hell in a handbasket.
You talk about the show or Indiana basketball? Or
no, the show's well, according to you, the show's great. I don't know. I never see the numbers.
Really well. The numbers are really good. They're good enough that the little midget from Florida. I wonder if they shut down the midget's Facebook.
Oh, leave him alone.
You know what I thought would be cool? I was talking about it to somebody the other night. I'm like, you know what we ought to do?
I got called by a lawyer to do a deposition against you.
You can't, because this is not over-the-air television, and I'm not lying.
Okay.
You got that. But what I'm saying is this. I think just to screw with him, that we all ought to go in and start different Facebook pages right now. You got Beard, got May, got Drew, anybody that could possibly be the coach. So little Hitler down there can't get his grubby little hands on another Facebook page and intimidate women.
Mike, we both have bigger fish to fry than
I know. But it's fun to talk
about
Woodson
website. Leave them alone.
Little face will get red.
You're mixing politics as a downer. Bye.
I didn't mix politics. You did. I was making fun of Steve for being a liberal because that's what we do. All
right, Don. We're losing on people now talking politics. Sorry,
actually,
Tony
our
B.
numbers have went up 10% in the last 5 minutes. So
I agree. Keep politics out of our show.
Yes. Then why'd you bring it up?
I'm an idiot.
You said
you've said that many a time on the air.
Yeah, you brought up The Apprentice. And I don't like liberals or conservatives. I'm straight down the middle. I'm an American.
Thank God you are. All right, get off. Just get off politics.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl, Steve?
I got to go with Kansas City. I just think until they get the referees in check and get the you saw Brady ripped the NFL for too much protection for Mahomes. So not that it's going to do any good.
That was funny what I just did. I'll tell you about it when we get off air. All right. We're going to go ahead and I'll give my pick. Like Friday or Saturday, I'll do a little 5-minute show.
All right.
To watch. But I
Tony V, if you're still listening, I apologize for bringing politics onto this show. That's a bad move.
Trust me, he's not listening. All right. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap the show up. We'll be back after the Michigan game Saturday afternoon. Hopefully it'll be a Hoosier win. It could. It's happened before this year. They have one more than what they've lost. Hopefully we get Army into the Big Ten. All right, guys. Make sure you check out Steve Risley at srisley34. You can follow me at
please do. Send me some more hate mail.
Follow me at Grilly Truth. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification on YouTube. But for now, I'm Mike Goodpaster. He's Steve Risley. You've been watching The Grueling Truth.